Imagine opening a book that no one has been able to read for hundreds of years. Every page is filled with beautiful handwriting. The letters look organized. The words repeat in recognizable patterns. The illustrations are colorful and carefully drawn. There are strange plants that do not exist in nature, unusual diagrams of stars and planets, mysterious women standing in green pools connected by pipes. Unknown symbols cover every page. The book looks real. It appears meaningful, yet no one can understand what it says. For more than a century, scholars, historians, linguists, cryptographers, and computer scientists have tried to solve its mystery. They have all asked the same question: what is the Voynich Manuscript? It has been called the world's most mysterious book. Some believe it contains a forgotten language. Others think it is an advanced code. Some argue it is a medieval medical encyclopedia. Others believe it is an elaborate hoax. Despite countless investigations, no explanation has been universally accepted. The story begins in the early 20th century. In 1912, a Polish-American rare book dealer named Wilfrid Voynich visited the Villa Mondragone, a Jesuit college near Rome, Italy. The college possessed a large collection of ancient manuscripts. While examining these books, Voynich noticed one unlike any he had ever seen. It was beautifully written. It contained hundreds of pages. Every page was covered with strange writing and unusual illustrations. Voynich immediately realized that the manuscript was extraordinary. He purchased it, along with several other historical books. The mysterious volume would eventually become known as the Voynich Manuscript, named after the man who introduced it to the modern world. But the manuscript itself was much older. For decades, researchers debated its age. Some believed it came from the 13th century. Others suggested the 15th or 16th century. Finally, in 2009, scientists used radiocarbon dating on the parchment. The results showed that the animal skin used to make the pages dates to the early 14th century, approximately 1404 to 1438. This finding surprised many researchers. The manuscript was not a modern forgery. The parchment itself was genuinely medieval. This immediately made the mystery even more fascinating. Who had written it? Why had it been created? And why could no one read it? The manuscript contains around 240 surviving pages, although researchers believe some pages are missing. Each page is covered with flowing handwriting that appears remarkably consistent. The unknown script contains approximately 20 to 30 unique characters, along with several rarer symbols. Unlike random marks, the writing follows recognizable patterns. Certain words appear repeatedly. Some symbols almost always occur together. Some appear only at the beginnings or ends of words. This suggests that the text follows rules similar to real languages. That observation became one of the greatest puzzles. If the writing behaves like a language, why has nobody been able to identify it? The illustrations add another layer of mystery. Researchers usually divide the manuscript into several sections based on the drawings. The first appears to contain plants. Nearly every page shows a large botanical illustration accompanied by text. At first glance, the plants resemble medicinal herbs commonly illustrated in medieval books. But upon closer examination, most of them do not match any known species. Did the artist invent imaginary plants, or are the illustrations highly stylized representations of real species? No one knows. Another section appears to focus on astronomy or astrology. Circular diagrams fill the pages. Stars surround mysterious symbols. Constellations seem to appear alongside zodiac signs. Several pages include familiar zodiac figures, such as Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Around many of these circles are small female figures, each holding a star. The arrangement suggests that astrology may have played an important role in the manuscript. During the Middle Ages, astrology was closely connected with medicine. Physicians often believed that the positions of stars and planets influenced the human body. Perhaps the manuscript reflected those beliefs, or perhaps the symbols represented entirely different things. Then comes one of the manuscript's strangest sections. Researchers often call it the biological or balneological section. Here, dozens of small women appear throughout the pages. Many are unclothed. They stand in pools of green liquid. Some hold objects. Others move through elaborate networks of pipes, tubes, and containers. The scenes appear almost dreamlike. Some scholars believe the drawings represent medicinal baths or the human body's internal systems. Others suggest they symbolize fertility, alchemy, or medieval ideas about health. No explanation has gained universal acceptance. The manuscript also contains pages that appear pharmaceutical in nature. These include drawings of containers resembling medieval medicine jars. Nearby are smaller plant illustrations. This has led some researchers to believe the manuscript may contain recipes or descriptions of medicinal preparations. Finally, there are pages filled almost entirely with text. Some contain short paragraphs. Others include star-shaped arrangements. One section consists of brief entries beginning with small decorative symbols, almost like a medieval index. Despite these organizational patterns, the meaning remains hidden. One remarkable feature is the quality of the handwriting. Throughout the manuscript, the script remains neat and consistent. There are very few obvious corrections. The writer appears confident. This does not resemble random scribbling. It resembles someone carefully copying or composing meaningful text. Linguists have analyzed the writing statistically. Surprisingly, the manuscript behaves much like natural human language. Word lengths follow predictable patterns. Certain symbols frequently appear together. Some words occur often, while others are rare. These characteristics resemble known languages. Random nonsense usually does not produce such patterns. This finding has convinced many researchers that the manuscript contains genuine information. But information in what language? Could it represent an unknown language that has disappeared? Could it be an encrypted version of a familiar language? Could every symbol represent a letter, a sound, an entire word, or something else entirely? Cryptographers have attempted to answer these questions for decades. Some of the world's greatest code breakers studied the manuscript. During the 20th century, experts who had helped break military codes during both world wars examined it. Even they failed to solve it. Modern computers have also joined the search. Artificial intelligence has analyzed thousands of word patterns. Powerful algorithms have compared the writing to hundreds of known languages. Some studies suggest similarities with Hebrew. Others propose connections to Nahuatl, an indigenous language of Mexico. Still others point toward medieval Romance languages, but none of these theories has been proven. Every proposed solution eventually encounters problems. Words fail to translate consistently, grammar becomes inconsistent, or interpretations require assumptions that cannot be verified. Another important clue lies in the manuscript's history. Inside the book was a letter linking it to Johannes Marcus Marci, a 17th century scholar from Prague. Marci sent the manuscript to the famous Jesuit scholar Athanasius Kircher, who was renowned for attempting to decipher ancient languages. Marci believed Kircher might solve the mystery. He also mentioned an earlier belief that the manuscript had belonged to Emperor Rudolph II, ruler of the Holy Roman Empire. According to one story, Rudolph supposedly purchased the manuscript for a large sum because he believed it had been written by the English philosopher Roger Bacon. However, historians have found no reliable evidence confirming this purchase. It remains an intriguing tradition rather than an established historical fact. Roger Bacon himself has long been associated with the manuscript. Bacon was a 13th century English philosopher known for his interest in science and experimentation. Because he had studied languages and secret knowledge, some early researchers believed he authored the manuscript. Radiocarbon dating, however, strongly suggests the parchment was produced more than a century after Bacon's lifetime. This makes his authorship extremely unlikely. The manuscript has therefore moved through history surrounded by uncertainty. Its creator remains unknown. Its original owner remains uncertain. Its purpose remains mysterious. Yet one fact is beyond dispute. Someone invested an extraordinary amount of time and effort creating it. Preparing parchment was expensive. Writing hundreds of pages required patience. Producing detailed illustrations demanded artistic skill. If the manuscript is a hoax, it is one of the most elaborate hoaxes ever created. If it contains real knowledge, then that knowledge has remained hidden for centuries. Today, the Voynich Manuscript is preserved in the Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library at Yale University. Researchers from around the world continue studying its pages. High-resolution digital images allow anyone with an internet connection to examine every detail. This has expanded the search dramatically. Professional historians collaborate with mathematicians. Linguists work alongside computer scientists. Artificial intelligence joins human curiosity. Yet the manuscript remains silent. Every page seems ready to reveal its secret. Every line appears meaningful. Every illustration seems to tell part of a forgotten story. But the message, whatever it is, remains locked behind an unknown system of writing. The Voynich Manuscript challenges humanity's greatest strength, our ability to understand language. Normally, every written text eventually yields its meaning. Ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics were deciphered. Cuneiform was decoded. Lost languages have been reconstructed. Forgotten alphabets have been understood. But the Voynich Manuscript continues to resist every attempt. It reminds us that history still contains mysteries waiting to be solved. Perhaps somewhere in its pages lies a forgotten scientific tradition. Perhaps it preserves knowledge from a vanished culture. Perhaps it hides an ingenious cipher. Or perhaps it was designed to remain unread forever. Whatever the truth may be, the manuscript has become one of history's greatest intellectual puzzles. For more than 600 years, it has guarded its secret. And as we continue our journey into this remarkable mystery, we must ask an even more intriguing question. If no one can read the Voynich Manuscript, why was it written in the first place? If the Voynich Manuscript cannot be read, then understanding why it was created may be just as important as discovering what it says. For more than 100 years, researchers have proposed dozens of theories. Some believe it is a medical encyclopedia. Others think it is an alchemical guide. Some argue it is a coded scientific manuscript. Others believe it is a religious text, a philosophical work, or even an elaborate medieval prank. Each theory explains part of the mystery, but none explains everything. One of the oldest and most popular theories is that the manuscript is a medical book. During the Middle Ages, handwritten medical manuscripts were common throughout Europe. Doctors and herbalists collected information about plants, illnesses, and treatments. Many of these books contain detailed botanical illustrations. At first glance, the Voynich Manuscript appears similar. Nearly every page contains drawings of plants accompanied by long passages of text. The pharmaceutical section also includes jars, containers, and what appear to be medicinal ingredients. Some researchers believe these images suggest recipes for herbal medicines. The bathing scenes may represent healing treatments or the human body's internal systems. However, there is one major problem. Most of the plants cannot be identified. Some appear to combine the roots of one species, the leaves of another, and the flowers of a third. No known medical manuscript contains plants quite like these. If they represent real herbs, they have been illustrated in an unusually imaginative way. If they are imaginary, then why would a medical book include them? Another theory suggests that the manuscript is actually written in code. If this is true, then every symbol may represent letters, sounds, words, or entire ideas. Medieval rulers often used ciphers to protect military or political information. Secret societies also developed coded writing. Could the Voynich Manuscript be the most sophisticated medieval cipher ever created? Many professional cryptographers have explored this possibility. Some believed that every symbol represented a single letter. Others thought groups of symbols represented complete words. Some proposed that the text had been encrypted several times. Yet every attempt eventually failed. A successful code must produce meaningful translations. So far, none has done so. Even experts who broke military codes during the Second World War examined the manuscript without success. Another possibility is that the manuscript records an unknown language. History contains many languages that disappeared before they were properly documented. Perhaps the Voynich manuscript preserves one of them. This idea became more attractive after statistical studies showed that the text behaves like natural language. Words repeat in predictable ways. Sentence structures appear organized. The distribution of symbols resembles human communication rather than random writing. But if it is a real language, no other surviving document has been found using the same script. That makes comparison almost impossible. Without another example, decoding becomes extremely difficult. Some researchers have even suggested that the manuscript may have been written in a familiar language using an entirely new alphabet. In theory, this is possible. A person could invent unique symbols to replace ordinary letters. If only one copy existed, outsiders would struggle to understand it. However, no convincing translation has yet been produced. Perhaps the most controversial theory is that the manuscript is simply a hoax. According to this idea, someone deliberately created meaningless text to deceive wealthy buyers. The pages look convincing, the writing appears consistent, the illustrations are beautiful. A collector might easily believe the manuscript contains secret knowledge. This explanation became especially popular because of the story that Emperor Rudolph II supposedly paid a large sum for the manuscript. If true, perhaps someone created it only to make money. But this explanation also has weaknesses. Producing hundreds of pages of convincing nonsense would have required enormous effort. Preparing parchment was expensive. Drawing detailed illustrations took time. Maintaining consistent writing patterns throughout hundreds of pages would have been extremely difficult. If it was a hoax, it was one of the most ambitious ever attempted. Modern computer analysis has created another interesting possibility. Researchers noticed that the manuscript follows Zipf's law, a statistical pattern found in many natural languages. According to this principle, the most common words appear very frequently, while most words appear only rarely. The Voynich Manuscript closely follows this pattern. Random nonsense usually does not. This finding suggests that the text contains meaningful structure. But meaningful structure does not necessarily mean readable language. It could still represent a sophisticated coding system. Artificial intelligence has also joined the investigation. Machine learning systems have compared the manuscript with hundreds of historical languages. Some analyses suggested similarities with Hebrew. Others pointed toward medieval Romance languages. Still others proposed Asian or indigenous American connections. Each announcement generated excitement, but none survived careful academic review. The evidence was never strong enough to convince most specialists. The mystery continued. Researchers then turned their attention to the illustrations. Perhaps the pictures themselves contain hidden clues. The botanical section remained particularly puzzling. Could the plants represent symbolic ideas rather than real species? Medieval artists sometimes combined different plants into one illustration to represent healing properties instead of physical appearance. If that happened here, identifying the plants becomes almost impossible. The astronomical section also raises questions. The zodiac symbols resemble familiar medieval designs, yet the surrounding figures remain unusual. Many pages include women holding stars. Why? Some historians believe they represent months of the year. Others think they symbolize constellations or celestial spirits. No explanation fits every page. The mysterious bathing section has inspired even more interpretations. Some researchers think the women represent patients receiving treatment. Others believe they symbolize the stages of human life. Still others see connections with medieval beliefs about fertility, health, or the body's internal organs. Because the accompanying text cannot be read, every interpretation remains uncertain. Perhaps the greatest challenge facing researchers is the manuscript's uniqueness. Normally, historians compare one document with others from the same period. If two books use similar symbols, they can identify patterns. If one language is known, it helps decode another. The Voynich Manuscript stands almost completely alone. No confirmed companion document exists. No confirmed alphabet survives. No confirmed translation has been discovered. It is like trying to solve a puzzle without knowing what the finished picture should look like. The manuscript has therefore become more than an ancient book. It has become a test of human curiosity. Every generation approaches it with new technology. First came traditional historians, then linguists, then cryptographers, then computer scientists. Now, artificial intelligence examines every page. Yet the manuscript continues to resist every attempt. It is almost as if it was designed to remain mysterious. Some researchers have even wondered whether the creator intentionally invented a language that only a small group could understand. If so, the key may have disappeared centuries ago. Without that key, the writing becomes almost impossible to decode. History offers many examples of lost knowledge. Ancient libraries were destroyed, languages disappeared, civilizations collapsed. The Voynich Manuscript may simply be another survivor from a forgotten world. Or perhaps its secret has been hidden in plain sight all along. As the years pass, one thing becomes increasingly clear. The mystery is no longer only about the manuscript itself. It is also about our determination to understand the past. Every unsuccessful attempt teaches researchers something new about language, cryptography, medieval history, and human imagination. Whether the manuscript is eventually decoded or not, it has already become one of the greatest intellectual challenges in history. But one final question still remains. If the Voynich Manuscript truly contains hidden knowledge, who wrote it? And what secret were they trying to protect?